Okay, so I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but I have decided to use my personal platform to talk about my personal journey and what it's been like for me to take ownership of areas that I need to grow in while taking ownership of my self-care and while I'm in leadership capacities. So it's never really easy to be in spaces where you have to be a leader and a mentor, and still make sure you put your mental health and your emotional health and self-development first. Just keeping yourself in a student mode while you're leading. I am a big believer of making sure I'm learning as I'm teaching, that I am being mentored as I am mentoring, that I learn how to be a good follower as I am leading. And so that's not really always easy for somebody like me, And so I'm going to give you something that happened to me today when I was in my training. Ooh, stubbed my foot. That hurt. Okay, so when I was in my training today, it was a really good training, by the way. It was a very good training. And it's designed for people who are already in leadership capacities, people who are already business owners, or maybe aspiring to be business owners, or aspiring to be leaders in any type of capacity. So there are a lot of great trainings that this particular place has available to my local community. And so I decided to take advantage of them. Okay, so when I was in, I'm listening around because my kids, it's either my kids or my dog that's making noise. So if you hear anything in the background, it's one of them. Okay, either the dog is making noise or the kids. So I apologize in advance. But anyways, okay, so I want to share what I learned about myself today. That was a little bit of a trigger, and I didn't realize it until the topic came up, and it really wasn't a topic. It was a matter of see, y'all, I done lost my train of thought up here trying to because I haven't figured out the editing thing yet. So it caught me off guard. Okay, anyways, let me see what I was saying. Well, I can't quite remember exactly what topic we were on, but we were talking about, self-awareness as a leader or a future leader. The importance of self-awareness, the importance of dealing with your triggers and your traumas and things like that. And then, it was somebody in the group who brought up, she had just mentioned that, one of her issues was, like her mouth talking maybe in a way that may not come across as befitting as her heart or intentions wanted to, right? And so for some reason that deeply resonated with. So when she started sharing her story, when she was like, my mom told me I was not a bad kid, but it was just my mouth. Oh my God, that resonated with me so much. And I didn't realize how deeply until after the training was over and I was, driving back home. And I was thinking to myself, I was the same way. That's exactly what happened to me. My mom used to always tell me, you were a good kid growing up. I never really had any troubles out of you. It was just that mouth. She was just like, you just always spoke your mind. And, and that's what you got in trouble for. You didn't know when to say what and how to say it. You were just unfiltered. And that's just that was my biggest pet peeve with you. And so, looking back, that has been a contributing factor of whether I, rose or whenever I fell. A lot of times was how I said stuff, when I said stuff, right? Now, my biggest struggle has always been, you know, maybe when I became an adult, when I had became married and a mom and stuff, and I was in certain social groups that was more like conservative and stuff like that. I was less vocal. It made me want to just shrink back and not say anything at all because I was always afraid to say the wrong thing. But I think it's also funny how the very thing that I used to get in trouble for and just had a lot of issues with is the very thing that is my best quality, and that is me speaking and being able to engage a crowd, being able to personalize a presentation or a training or when I'm doing speaking engagements and things like that. So it's turned out also to be my greatest gift, right? But I still inwardly struggle with what to say, when to say it, how to say it. I don't want it to be used against me, especially when you're out in business spaces. You don't know, at least I don't always know, especially when I'm in a passionate discussion or a topic that comes about that I'm really passionate about. I like to just give my thoughts. I want my voice to be heard. But as, you get older and you get wiser and you learn how to read the room and your own personal, and if you are aware of the fact that, you have a gift that could probably also be like a double-edged sword that can kind of be used against you or for you, depending on how well you have perfected it. So I have the gift of speaking, right? But I have to be honest. Like I was saying, I have to be honest with myself. I still need to learn the art of what to say and how to say it, and what capacity to say it in. So these are all things that I'm still working on, which is why I'm taking these leadership development classes. I want to learn how to use this thing that is a gift that some people saw it. My mother saw it as a bad thing. God bless her soul. She didn't know, but because she didn't know how to fine tune it. And my heart goes out to a lot of, especially those of you who have always been told that, your mouth, and especially if you have kids who are younger, that may be their gift and it just needs to be cultivated, and they just need to be taught when to say things and how to say things. Because that was one of my biggest things. I always was afraid. Because I got in trouble for it so much, I was just afraid to speak up. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, because it was not my intention. I don't want to disrespect anybody, because that's not my intention. But it's funny, as I became an adult, when I did speak up, because, the older I got, the more I just kept my words to a minimum, the best I could, but when I said something, I tried to work on saying something of value, that's my biggest compliment. Like I've always gotten compliments for the way I deliver a message. And that's where I find my biggest joy, is from training, teaching, presenting. That's where my joy comes from. And so I'm happy to, I'm happy to be honest enough with myself. I'm grateful for self-awareness, because there's growth in self-awareness. And I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper to it, why I'm a little deeper into it later on as to why that started off as a trigger. It's not always, that child is bad, because my mom always said I was a really good kid, but it was just that one thing that she just didn't know how to, she didn't know how to craft or cultivate in me. So, instead of me being redirected or taught and trained on how to speak in a way that is more palatable to people, I got disciplined for it instead. And of course, when I stepped out into the social environment, because I didn't learn those, I wasn't good at those social cues at that time, or learning how to read a room, learning how to be empathetic to the people that I'm talking to, and discerning. Because I didn't want to hurt or offend, I just kept my mouth shut. So I'm slowly gaining my way back into using my gift, but using it in a way that that heals, using it in an effective way that produces and yields positive things, and instead of offending things. That great scripture, kind words turn away wrath. So just learning how to sharpen the gift that I've been given is very important now. So the way I speak and my words is now one of my greatest assets about me. And so I'm learning how to embrace it and use it in a more. So, like I said, I'm just happy I learned that about myself today. I'm happy that I at least went deep enough to recognize where that trigger came from. And I just wanted to process it, So if you guys, whoever watches this, if you have something that you were, as a kid, you were always told was a bad thing, or shunned against, or anything like that, take a little, go a little bit deeper. Sometimes the very things that get you in trouble are your gifts. You just need to learn how to perfect it and use it in a way that's to your advantage and is for the healing of other people. So peace out.